Hello there, Phil. Definitely 5 stars for that video. You made some really good points. When the world seems to be overwhelming, the prospect of being able to step back, to give over all of your responsibility to some kind of outside agency so that you can just catch your breath is enticing, to say the least. And when it actually happens, the relief, the endorphin rush and the subsequent stimulation of the brain's pleasure centres is a powerful learning behaviour. It's the same process that creates video game addicts and shopping addicts and gambling addicts. And I experience something similar myself pretty much daily when I learn something new or I solve a puzzle or a problem. The feeling of success is extremely pleasurable. And of course, when it comes to a religious experience, there's additional factors to consider, like, once you've abdicated all of the responsibility and or reason, you're then in the position of either continuing in this new anaesthetised mindset or reverting to your previous world view. And the prospect of giving up this newfound belief in God is one that generally involves facing up to denied truths and potentially more pain. It's a question of, do I stay where I am, where I feel safe and secure, or do I change, which requires effort and has a very real prospect of creating more pain. And for most people, that's not a difficult choice. You mentioned that you don't have a problem with people believing in God. It's religion that you have the problem with. Dogma, man-made rules that purport to be the word and instruction of this supreme being. And whilst I'm largely with you on that view, the main problem that I have with religion is having it forced on me, I am critical of belief in God as well. And the main reason that I'm critical of this belief is that I think it involves abdication of responsibility by way of submission to authority. Now, I think that's a worldview which pretty much is bound to result in religion and dogma. But even if you have your own personal relationship with God and you hear the voice of God speak to you directly, then if it's God's will that you're hearing, the words and instructions of this supreme being, you are bound by faith in that God to believe and to obey. Now, I think most of us have at some time in our lives done things or said things that, even whilst these events were in progress, stimulated a little voice in the back of our minds to say, is this really such a great idea? Or we've just been told things that we think sound a little bit fishy. And even if we didn't listen to that warning signal at the time, we can look back and we can see its relevance. And I believe that's where moral judgments come from. It's how we improve our judgment, and it's how we recognise for ourselves the difference between what's right and what's wrong, and what makes sense and what doesn't. And the problem that I have with belief in God, the belief in the authority of God, is that it silences that voice.